When I started stacking silver, I thought I understood most of it. I watched a lot of videos, read some posts, and I felt like I had a decent handle on how it all worked. But actually, probably like a lot of you, once I started spending my own money on silver, I realized there wasn't a lot of things I didn't fully understand until I actually started buying and holding it myself, holding the silver in my hands. And in this video, I want to go through some of the biggest things that surprised me the most once I started stacking silver for real, like the premiums. Let's see how slow stacking actually feels and a few mental shifts I just didn't really expect. I'm still new at stacking, so this isn't really advice. It's just what I've learned. If you've been stacking longer than me, I'd generally like to hear what you think I'm missing. This is an awesome community and everyone helps everyone. Premiums matter more than I expected, actually. Before I started buying silver, I knew premiums existed. I understood that you pay over spot at, at least in theory. But I didn't think I felt how much premiums matter until I actually start buying this stuff. At first, it's easy to think it's only a few dollars more an ounce to buy this over this. But once you buy a few peaches, you realize those dollars really do add up fast. It's $2 here, $5 here, and suddenly you're paying a lot more than you're expected, and you're getting less silver if that's what your goal was. And that was what my goal was. I also didn't realize how different premiums are depending on what you buy, whether it's a coin, a bar, or even junk silver. I got some here. I got some mercury dimes. There we go. Some of those. And early on, I didn't always stop to think, how much whether premium made sense for what I was trying to do. And now I understand that I'm trying to stack silver, and so premiums really do eat into that goal. If you've been stacking longer than me, I'd like to hear what you think. Yeah, it's normal. Is it normal to feel, or am I missing something? Let me know in the comments. I'm still learning, and I actually read all the comments. The other thing is that liquidity isn't as simple as silver is silver. Another thing I didn't fully understand until I started buying is liquidity. Early on, I kind of assumed silver is silver. If I need to sell it, I just sell it. But once I started learning more, I realized it's really not that simple. Some pieces are easier to sell than others, like these. I could sell this, go down to the coin shop and sell this any day, right? The recognition of it, the American Eagles, here in the United States, everyone knows what those look like. The condition matters. And it also matters who you're selling it to. Probably more than anything, it's who you're actually selling it to. Now, I'm not planning to sell anytime soon, but it was kind of eye-opening when I was taking some silver in to sell that is not equal liquidity. It also takes time to actually sell this. I don't just able to transfer money from my savings account into my checking account. I actually have to get in my car, go to a coin shop, or a pawn shop, or wherever you have to sell it, and to make the transaction. That really did shift how I think about my purchases now. Make sure I don't overextend myself. Also, stacking is slower than expected. This one might sound obvious, but it hit me after a few purchases. You understand, most of mine was actually after a few purchases. Then silver stacking kind of slowed down for me. There's no instant gratification. You're not going to wake up one day with a huge stack unless you put money into it gradually and consistently. Early on, I kind of felt like my stacking isn't growing fast enough. But the thing is, it's crazy. In a couple buys, again, it's not what a lot of people have out there. I've just started. This is roughly after about, I'd say, a little over a month of stacking. But I also accept that it's a long-term process, that I have to just make it fun. Don't fret out when I have a little extra cash to go add to my stack. I do. The progress is measured in ounces, honestly, not in excitement. Because that excitement can turn bad really fast. Right now, silver's at 94. What happened if it tanked 50? That excitement, well, you can only imagine. You have that gut feeling. It's not about that. It's about just always stacking ounces. Something else is that emotional buying is real. I kind of emotionally buy a lot of this. Something else, spot prices move. People talk about shortages, excuse me. And some pieces are, maybe labeled limited. I do have a few pieces over there. I won't pull them out. But, there's always that pressure to buy now. And, you get on Twitter and even some YouTube videos, and it's like, you got to buy now, you're going to miss out, And, I definitely felt early on that, and I did when it was 50 and it started going up. It's like, I need to buy now. And I'm glad I did. But I'm glad I did, well, two reasons. I'm glad I did because I started. But I'm also glad on the flip side that, yes, I'm very positive as far as converting to fiat. Sleeping on purchases, like if I really wanted this, I really need this now. Now, of course, here's the drawback, I would say, and this is maybe the wrong way to think about it. This way that silver is moving now, if you think it's going to go up, sleeping on it could cost you tremendous. But also sleeping on it, the way silver is, how volatility it is could also save you. So this one is, this is for me, and this is not financial advice. This is just a moron talking to a camera. I'm talking to you guys, is that if I have the money, I'm going to spend it, I'm going to spend it. Because, you never know what's going to happen today. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You never know what's going to happen 3 months from now, right? If you have a goal, and my goal is to stack silver, if I have the money, I'm going to add to my stack. So if you're new to stacking and some of the stuff sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. And if you've been stacking for a while, I'm curious, which of these surprised you the most when you started? Did you guys have FOMO? Of course, a lot of you guys have been stacking when silver was like $12 an ounce. And so there's really not a whole lot of FOMO. You guys have been riding the long train, I guess you could say. Another thing is that storage and security aren't immediate problems, but it becomes a problem pretty quick. When I first started, I wasn't too worried about storage and security. Saves hiding spots, doing everything perfectly. I literally have this on my desk. Of course, this reminder is like, hey, stack silver. But in reality, when your stack is small like mine, you don't really need to overcomplicate things. Obviously, as the stack gets bigger, it will become a priority. And so, when I first started stacking, I started thinking about that. I need to get tubes. I need to get these capsules. And I was like, what? Focus on stacking silver. Instead of buying a tube or buying these capsules, I can buy just more silver. And once I have enough silver that it makes sense to have a storage system, then I can worry about it. And there's no right way to stack silver. I watch videos and people do kind of talk about this. But, now that silver's at $90, I think half ounces are going to become more popular. These are more affordable, right, in today's economy. And so that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned so far is that there's no right way to stack silver. It's just stacking silver. Some people focus on weight. I'm kind of like that. Some like coins. Some like they stack junk silver, some collect, and some do it all. Right now you can see I'm kind of doing it all. Early on, all the options can be confusing, but over time, I realized that goals matter more than rules. If I had a rule that I'm always going to stack a silver eagle, and I didn't have the funds, but I had the funds to buy this, I would totally buy this. I'm not, it's about adding and not always following my rules. That's just me. It's what matters to you when it comes to stacking. What is your, I guess you could say, goal, and how can you achieve that goal? In closing, buying silver has taught me way more than watching videos ever did, because there's one thing from watching a video, and there's also another thing from handing cash in and getting something back. Your hard-earned money. I'm still early in this, and I obviously don't have it all figured out. But that is kind of the point of this channel, documenting, the process as I go along. If you've been stacking longer than me, I would really like to know what's something you didn't understand about silver until you actually started buying. Let me know in the comments. And if you're stacking too, or think about getting started, and you want to follow along with this honest beginner perspective as I learn, you might want to subscribe. With that, all I can say is keep stacking. Have a great day.